Thank you very much for making a date with me today on the Marketplace. Now, President Akufo-Addo has expressed confidence that the digitization and operation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement by March this year will boost intra-regional trade among the 50 countries working for a common purpose and a common voice for their interests. He was speaking at the ongoing UK-Africa Investment Summit hosted by the UK government to support job creation on the continent and help build a stronger partnerships between the UK and Africa post-Brexit.
The theme chosen for this event is relevant and sums up the current aspirations of Ghana and Africa. Accessing the African common market through Ghana, technology, digitization, and industrialization. Ladies and gentlemen, when I accepted the responsibility on behalf of the government and people of Ghana to host in Accra the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, it signaled the completion of the processes to create the world's largest free trade area since the formation of the World Trade Organization. We expect the Secretariat to be up and running by March 2020 for trading to begin in the free trade area by July this year. It also reiterated the desire of the 54 African member states of the African Union that had signed the agreement for the coming into effect of the AFCFTA to work with a common voice and a common purpose to exploit the abundant wealth and resources of our great continent for the benefit of the African peoples. We know that the success of the AFCFTA would mean that the era of low volumes of intra-regional trade that have defined the activities of African economies will come to an end. Up till now, trade between African nations has remained low compared to other parts of the world. In 2000, intra-regional trade accounted for 10% of Africa's total trade and increased to 16% in 2015. Intra-regional trading in 2015, for example, amongst members of the European Union amounted to 70%, stood at 52% amongst the nations of Asia and 50% amongst the nations of North America. Surely, an increase in intra-regional trade in Africa is one of the surest ways to promote the progress we seek for Africa. It should guarantee a rapid increase in exchanges of our agricultural, financial, industrial, scientific, and technological products, which would enhance dramatically our attainment of prosperity and the prospects of employment for the African peoples, particularly our youth. Our economies will then be shaped not by the production and export of raw materials, but by the things we make and grow.
The president further added that the government breaking its back to ensure the economic environment is favorable for doing business and also touted some achievements over the past 3 years.
To creating an atmosphere for the private sector to thrive and create jobs, government has a very important and positive role to play in spurring industrialization and economic transformation, ensuring that businesses are up and running, promoting access to the capital that will keep the wheels of business moving, maintaining macroeconomic stability, making available public goods such as an efficient bureaucracy, a strong adherence to the rule of law, and a fair and equitable social system in health and education delivery are some of the major responsibilities of government. The government of Ghana is addressing each one of them to ensure that as hosts of the Secretariat of the AFCFTA, we're properly positioned to be the hub of trade in Africa. Firstly, in order to garner the fruits of the AFCFTA and to realize the vision of a Ghana beyond aid, our first order of business has been to continue to ensure the maintenance of macroeconomic stability to facilitate the growth of Ghana's economy. Over the last 3 years, key economic indicators, which were in disarray prior to my assumption of office, have all been pointing in the right direction. We have ensured an average GDP growth rate of 7% over the last 3 years, compared to the 3.6% we inherited in December 2016. Reduced inflation from 15.4% in December 2016 to the single-digit figure of 7.9% in December 2019. Restored fiscal discipline by bringing the fiscal deficit down from 9.3% in December 2016 to 4.5% today. Furthermore, we're managing the economy in a manner that is guaranteeing pragmatism in mobilizing and deploying national resources. An efficiently managed economy, together with the continuous maintenance of a business-friendly climate, are essential towards driving investment into Ghana and stimulating growth and creating jobs.
Well, on its part, the UK Minister of Investment, Graham Stuart, says UK and Ghana will work hand in hand to ensure sustained economic development. He said the London Stock Exchange is set to enter into partnership with the Ghana Stock Exchange to build a strong relationship between the two countries.
Between the UK and Ghana, a British firm, Contractor UK, is helping to turn this plan into reality with financial backing from the UK government. And it reflects the optimism, ambition, and entrepreneurial zeal of the Ghanaian people. Through our award-winning export credit agency, UK Export Finance, Britain is providing £40 million worth of financial support for Contractor to help build the project. Another £110 million of UKEF support is going towards the construction of a state-of-the-art 750-bed maternity unit at Kumasi's teaching hospital. And this shows our determination to pull out the stops and support British firms to carry out key infrastructure schemes such as these in Ghana and throughout Africa. An ambition underlined yesterday by Prime Minister Boris Johnson when he announced £620 million worth of funding to support British exports to nations across the African continent. And that brings UKEF's total financial commitment in just the last 2 years to £2 billion. Britain is one of the biggest investors in Africa, and UK firms are right at the forefront of developing new business ventures across the African economy. But we are determined, and yesterday's summit and our support, sir, for today's excellent event is a sign that we want to go further and are ambitious to do more. Now, of course, this progress is particularly to be observed in Ghana, where companies such as Blue Skies, a UK investment backed by CDC, employs 3,500 people, exports juices to the UK. Large British institutions such as Prudential and Standard Chartered are also working with Ghanaian partners to grow their businesses significantly and so contribute to Ghana's success. From textiles to tea, chemicals to cocoa, machinery to medicines, fish to pharmaceutical products, trade and investment between our nations is dynamic, varied, and deeply entwined. There really hasn't been a better time to trade with and invest in each other's economies. Now, we are a global leader in the UK in innovation and sustainable infrastructure, one of the priorities highlighted earlier on. Britain offers precisely the kind of world-class capabilities and expertise required to help Ghana and other African nations tackle many of the key challenges to economic development. British firms offer a network of excellence in design, master planning, project management and financing, together with cutting-edge professional services from accountancy to legal advice. The City of London is the world's preeminent centre for cross-border finance. It's the world financial centre, and investment from London can help provide access to the funding firms need to kickstart innovative infrastructure projects that are changing lives for the better across Africa, as well as making, of course, those airport experiences both more pleasurable and more inspiring. The British government is determined to deepen and strengthen the commercial bonds between the UK and Ghana through the Strategic Economic Partnership Agreement our two nations signed last May. This ambitious initiative is already leading to new opportunities, with the UK's National Mapping Agency, Ordnance Survey, for example, discussing a deal to develop a fully digitised map and land registry of Ghana, and the London Stock Exchange agreeing to enter into partnership with the Ghana Stock Exchange. So this fast-expanding economic relationship between our two countries is also being honed and focused by the UK-Ghana Business Council, which has brought our governments together to find ways to reduce barriers to trade and drive growth.
So still in London, the UK's Department for International Development and the Department for International Trade have published 27 commercial deals worth over £6.5 billion sterling from across the African markets invited to the UK Africa Investment Summit. The department says the deals demonstrate the UK and Africa are securing a lasting commercial partnership of mutual benefit. Away from London now, the Bank of Ghana has filed for stay of proceedings at the High Court in a case brought against it by owners of GN Savings and Loans. This follows the last ruling which endorsed the High Court Human Rights Division as the appropriate court to adjudicate the case challenging the license revocation of GN Savings and Loans. The new application, if granted, indicates that the Bank of Ghana will be heading to the appeals court to challenge the earlier ruling by a High Court judge, Gifty J. Addo. Meanwhile, the receiver and GN and the Attorney General have not filed any application. The judge, Gifty J. Addo, reprimanded the lawyers for the receiver for filing its response late against her earlier orders and adjourned the case to February 6, 2020. My colleague Ebenezer Sawuti was in court, joins me in the studio for more. Ebenezer, welcome.
Thank
you. What actually happened? What's the meaning of all these stay of proceedings?
Okay, so let's begin from where the case started. You know, earlier the case started at the commercial court when the respondents here, the Bank of Ghana, the Attorney General, and then also the Ministry of Finance, filed that they are challenging the jurisdiction of the court. According to them, you know, in such cases, they will not have to come to the High Court before adjudicating on it, but it's supposed to go for arbitration per the Banking Act.
Okay.
But this has been overruled actually by the Judge Gifty Ejie. So in a bid to challenge this ruling, the Bank of Ghana lawyers have filed for stay of proceedings, meaning that whatever you are hearing about, whatever you are doing about the case, whatever exercise that you have concerning this case, please hold on. Let's settle the matter of where to go before you can continue. So the case is such that after whatever has happened, then they will go for appeal. So they will appeal the ruling of Judge Gifty Ejie, which was held last year.
So this is going to happen even before the commencement of the main case?
Yes. So now what this stay of proceedings says is that put a hold to the commencement of the main case. Don't touch it. Let's deal with jurisdiction. Let's deal with all other outstanding matters before we go to the main case.
Now, I believe that this would be impacting on the work of the receiver. You spoke with him. Did he tell you anything?
Yeah, he wasn't in court himself, but his lawyers were in court, and I couldn't speak with them one-on-one. But during the argument, you could see that they were not happy with some of these things, because from the beginning, we all thought that the case was going to be dealt with speedily. Yes, but at the end of the week, we couldn't get that. And then also the lawyer for Dr. Papakwe-Sindum, Justice Simsai, he rose to made a statement telling the judge that looking at how the national interest, looking at this case and the kind of interest it carries, he feels that it should be dealt with speedily. But the judge kind of...
So if it doesn't go in favor of the Bank of Ghana at the appeals court, what is going to happen?
That I cannot tell whether it will go in their favor or not. But I feel that 6th February is just around the corner. We'll all go and listen to whatever the judge will say as to whether they will hear the case or it should go for appeal. Then there we can take it up from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Ebenezer Sawuti, for the latest on that court case. Now, Ghana has signed on to the Africa Trade Insurance Agency to safeguard investors and international businesses against shocks within the country's investment climate. This follows concerns over guarantees government had to prepare for foreign investors, many of which end up in liabilities and huge losses to government. Acting Director of the Financial Sector Division of the Ministry of Finance, Samson Akligo, tells Joy Business this move will go a long way to increase foreign direct investments.
Subscribe to what we call the Africa Trade Insurance Agency. This is also very important for the country, and maybe a little bit of education again on insurance. So a lot of the people who come into Ghana to invest, especially to set up like big companies, most often than not, when they come to Ghana, they come to the government, to the Ministry of Finance, to come and get all form of comfort letters and guarantees. And over the past, the experiences for us have not been very pleasant. And it also gives us a lot of contingent liability. So one of the good things about insurance also is that instead of the central government through Ministry of Finance writing these letters, we have become members of the Africa Trade Insurance, so that anybody, including Ghanaians, who want to do business and need an insurance cover, especially if you want to raise money, will just go to the ATI, they will do their private sector assessment and support you. So it's a very important milestone for the country, and we hope that it will attract foreign direct investment further. I think that I will end by saying that, especially for the young people, I mean, I just speak from my good friend, the MD of SIC. I think that, honestly speaking, we have a very beautiful country. I mean, he just reminded me this morning, when you go across Africa and you come to Ghana, we have a very beautiful country. And sincerely speaking, we are also very beautiful people.
Let's turn our attention to the Ashanti region now. Managing Director of Gihok Distilleries, Maxwell Kofi Juma, says the company is no more producing plastics for health reasons. He says though producing with regular bottles is very expensive and fragile in the course of transportation, Mr. Kofi Juma says the company has come from a struggling background but has made significant strides within the last 3 years. Mr. Juma spoke to the media in Kumasi. Here's a report by Mohammed Nuruddin. Mr. Juma commended the brains behind the establishment of Gihok, adding his outfit would not let them down. 3 years into his administration, he says things have changed and production levels have shot up to about 400%. He says many more people have been engaged with improved remuneration for workers.
In spite of the very, very, very high cost of producing in glass bottles, don't forget, the glass bottles we import. Now, when they are shipping them, they break. You still are paying for it. During production, they break. When you are distributing, they break. These are all waste. And when they break, they go with your alcohol. And it's very expensive to produce in glass bottles. But yes, because we looked at the risk factor that comes with, serving alcohol in plastic. Not promotion of alcohol.
Media advertisement during the day.
Yeah, because they are afraid I will get to the kids. But they will drink alcohol during the day. Nobody can ban that. They cannot ban it. Nobody can ban it. It's just that you say, for the interest of our kids, we should not be advertising to encourage kids to be drinking alcohol. The authorities and try to fashion out a way where everybody will be okay, because it is not only affecting us.
Mr. Juma further explained the company's staff have worked extra hard to create a reputable brand across the regions.
We started with West Africa. Of course, we needed a base. And we knew that in Liberia, Mandingo was the favorite drink. Indeed, the president of Liberia drinks Mandingo. So we went there. And then from Liberia to Nigeria, and then of course to Cote d'Ivoire. Now we are trying to move to Southern Africa, China, US, and definitely Holland. We've started the process, and hopefully by the middle of the year, Gihok will have offices in those countries.
Mr. Juma says he has no regrets taking over the almost defunct distillery at a time relatives were not pleased about the situation. The Kumasi cylinder recirculation plant is to be completed in October this year. That's according to Managing Director of Goil Company Limited, Kwame Prempeh. He says construction works for the about 10,000 metric ton capacity plant has started and would take 8 months to complete. Mr. Prempeh was speaking at an event in Kumasi to appreciate thousands of customers who have kept loyalty with the company over the years. Here's a report once again by Mohammed Nuruddin.
The recirculation plant will cater for Ashanti and the northern sector of the country. Managing Director of GOL says the decision came at the right time to avert future atomic junction-like disasters. He also revealed that a bitumen project is underway to provide quality bitumen for asphalt roads in the country.
We also funded a bitumen project. We have started at Kema so that bitumen, which is imported from outside, will be produced here, blended here, so that we can get quality bitumen for asphalt roads. This is what God is doing for this country.
At the Goyle Efieni Fair promotion, 35 customers received fuel coupons worth 300 to 1,000 cedis depending on accrued points. Overall, 50 customers will receive 1,000 Ghana cedis worth of fuel, while 250 others will get 500 cedis, and 500 drivers will be rewarded with 800 cedis worth of fuel. Managing Director of Goyle, Kwame Seprempe, said the promotion is to appreciate the loyalty of customers.
Those we rewarded today are those who have accumulated some points. We saw that some people had 1,000 Ghana cedi coupon plus a TV set. Those three are those who have accumulated the highest points. So the essence is just to reward our loyal customers and to tell them that goal is for them.
Mohammed Nuruddin's report for Joy Business.
Now, President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyameke Jr., says lots of bottlenecks need to be cleared for Ghana to become a destination of choice for tourists. He reiterated his call on government to help solve many problems facing the sector if the country can sustain the recently held Year of Return program. He was speaking in an interview at the 4th Hotel Awards Night in Accra. There's more in this report.
Held on a theme, reducing hotel rates in Ghana, the role of government and hotel operators, the event brought together the creme de la creme of the industry to celebrate a successful year. According to President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyameke, though the Year of Return program generated significant revenues, there should be efforts to reduce the high operational costs that have resulted in high rates for hotel services.
Indeed, revenue has been quite good for the hotels, but you see, I don't even want to focus too much on what happened this year. I see this year as a foundation that has been laid, and if we sustain that interest, that focus on the country, that giving Ghana that competitive advantage over other countries, will certainly make sure that we saw as an industry. It's a collaborative effort, and that's why our theme stresses on that. We need an enabling environment, an enabling economic environment that will make sure that we work to generate the right inflows to stay in business. We talk about interest rates, we talk about utility bills, we talk about the foreign exchange. Hotels import a lot of things, okay? So if the exchange rate is not favorable, we end up losing a lot. We also talk about the regulation, and that's one area that we always want to emphasize. There has to be that strong coordination among the various regulatory bodies.
Sector Minister Barbara Otinjesi charged hoteliers to strike an optimal balance between profits and the creation of average rates that meet guests' needs.
The overall success of a tourism destination is highly related to the growth and development of the accommodation sector, where accommodation insufficiency may well discourage tourists from coming into a country. Although the aim of many hotel operators is to cover costs and obtain profits that meets targeted returns, there is the need to create an optimal balance between the pursuit of profits and the creation of average rates that meets guest needs. One of the core objectives of the tourism ministry is to support and promote Ghana's hospitality industry in terms of its cuisine, services, facilities, and entertainment at affordable rates.
Past president of the association, Herbert Akwe, also urged his members to abide by industry standards if they can maximize gains.
Well, it's a challenge out there. Industry players will have to try to abide by standards that we have set for them. And it's important that they don't falter, but keep going. Already a lot is being done. even though there are some basic challenges, but a lot is being done. You see that, you know, the Ministry of Tourism and the Ghana Tourism Authority are trying to brand and also market the country. Once they're doing that well, we're going to see the inflow of visitors, which will lead to, you know, very high occupancies. And once we can attain high occupancies, I think we'll have a very strong industry.
The highlight of the night was the award for significant contribution, which was given to President Akufo-Addo for instituting the Year of Return program. The Royal Century Resort also won the 4-Star Hotel of the Year, while Labadi Beach Hotel won the 5-Star Hotel of the Year. General Manager of the Accra City Hotel, Roman Krabel, won the Hotelier of the Year category. A Lifetime Achievement Award was conferred on the past president of the association, Herbert Akwe, for his immense contribution to the sector. In all, 23 facilities and individuals were awarded.
And that's it for the marketplace. Many thanks for your company. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good afternoon.